Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a max effort lower day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below, it would be greatly appreciated. Alright, I went with the cambered bar today, and I just wanted to get to a good training max. That first rep on camera there at 445 was a hair higher than I'd like, so I went up 20 pounds to 465, and I sank it deeper. It wasn't a true max. I left definitely some pounds in the tank, but I want room to build off of with each of these bars, right? I want room to build off of. I need to come in and PR each time I do one of these. And as long as we hit at least 90% of a true max, we're good. And I feel like my true max with that bar probably isn't much over 500, right? Probably not. So that put me above 90%. Second training max for the day, I went with deadlifts. I went with 75 pounds of bands. I actually tested this setup against 150 to make sure it felt stable on the warm up, and then I pulled half the bands off and went down to 75 pounds of bands. Did an easy 495 pull against the bands. Good easy lockout at the top. Again, we'll definitely call this a training max, not a max. But that's all we want. We just need to do the training maxes. And I believe in Matt Wiening's approach for that for conjugate. I think that's the best way to stay injury free. And yeah, I'm going to do double maxes. I want some sort of hip hinge, usually a deadlift, and some sort of squat on all the lower days so that I get 3 heavy singles done every week for something that's going to carry over to my main lifts. I'm as far out as possible from a meet because normally I want to do a meet about every 12 or 13 weeks. I'm 4 months out from Worlds because of the way this other meet got scheduled. So I have plenty of time to just get the strength up, get conditioning up, get body composition better, and then peak into the meet. So I'm not that worried about Worlds in that regard. And in all honesty, all I really care about is the deadlift at this point. Squat was a little hit or miss with this last water cut. I don't know that I can get the squat record this year. I may have to wait till next year. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to get good at everything, and I'll get what I get. So the focus is going to need to be to make sure I get that deadlift and to make sure I get my bench way back up, which is what you guys see me doing yesterday. So for supplemental work today, I only did 4 real supplemental lifts because, again, I'm doing so much work. We're doing all this, the upper and lower each twice a week, all the pull-ups. I'm doing all the sled dragging. Today's the first day I haven't done a sled drag in like almost a week because it was going to be lower. I even did it on dynamic effort day first the other day. So the lower body's getting a lot of work. And actually I've been doing a little bit of reverse hypers in between, which I realize I'm a lot stronger on them than I thought. We'll get to that in a minute. I need to push those a lot harder. They do carry over to my deadlift. So I went with the axle bar rows for 5x12 with the same weight I used last time. Now, because grip is a little more limited on these, they're not as intensive for my back as some of the other movements are. So I'm not as worried about too much volume. You guys remember at one time I was doing them every day and still had over a 600 deadlift, and they helped my grip a lot. So they're a minor addition for my back itself because of the axle bar nature. But I do the inverted rows. I'm going to be doing some seal rows, and I do pull-ups all the time. So I'm going to be getting outside of just these, at least 15 sets a week of other upper pulling for the upper and middle back. That's if I don't count upright rows and stuff. So I'm not as worried. The volume is ultra high for that. And that's just going to allow me to continue to work on the grip and the forearms more. Belt squats, I went up 5 pounds. I got 5 sets of 10 on these. Like I said, I went at 5 pounds. I did 195 last time. I went up to 200 in plates. That's not counting the weight of the thing, which is like 55, but it's who knows how much it carries over because part of it's counterbalanced slightly. So I'm only counting the plate weight that I add to the machine, just like the other machines. That's how we do it. But 5 sets of 10. So we're getting stronger at these. And notice I do a real wide stance with toes out because I want to make sure I build my adductors and everything. I need this to carry over to power squatting. And I need it to even carry over to sumo because I may rotate in a little bit of sumo while doing conjugate again, particularly on the speed work. And this will carry over to that also tremendously if I get that wide stance. Something Louis Simmons always said that, the belt squat helped build his sumo up from when he was much stronger on conventional, that it was a factor. It was one of the tools that he used. And there's probably some truth to that. Rest in peace, Louis. The guy was a genius. It's like a mad genius, And some of his ideas might have sounded crazy, but really, in a way, I guess they made sense. And he made people strong, and that's the other thing with conjugate. Everyone's like, well, it only works for geared lifters, but it's like he had guys who could walk in a t-shirt and still bench 550 at his gym. He had guys who could walk in and just raw in, regular clothing, workout clothing, could squat 800 pounds. So yeah, they were all strong equipped, but they were strong all the way around. And that's the idea with these sort of training systems. So we did 5x10 on these, and I'm doing this twice a week. So that's a lot of quad work, particularly when we think about the speed squats, we think about the sled drags. After that, I did glute ham raises. I was kind of torn with, do I want to mess with a lot of good mornings? And I'm like, maybe only once a week. Because again, the axial loadings, I get real strong at them real quick. Axial loading goes up. What's going to happen when I'm doing over 300 pounds for sets of 10 again? And I had to hold my glasses on. I forgot to take them off for this first set, and they'll fall off. Usually take them off. Same thing here. We got 5x10 on my glute ham raises. Again, arguably the best hamstring exercise. We could argue about how good it is for glutes or erectors or any of that. Maybe not the best in the world compared to a lot of other lifts, but probably king of the hamstring builders. And who doesn't want stronger hamstrings? Particularly what I like with the glute ham raise is the potential for injury prevention too, which I really need, guys. I'm at a point in the game to where I can't afford injuries. Right, I'm 45 years old, competing at the world level. Right, I can't afford to get hurt. That's some injury prevention, and a lot of what I do is injury prevention. We've got to watch that with potential overuse. It's the reason I'll be rotating stuff more on this system. Why we're doing a lot of not doing too much of the exact same movement pattern. Like even though I'm doing a lot of pulling for backs and a lot of pull-ups, those pull-ups I only do the one set right now. Do it 5 or 6 days a week. We do a different type of row on the upper and lower day so that we're working different movement patterns for all of that. And it's, again, going to help make my whole shoulder girdle and upper back strong and healthy. Just like, again, I'm going to mess more and more with the closer grip benching. Not only am I stronger at it, it's probably safer on the shoulders. So we're looking at all of this stuff of injury prevention, shoulder health, protecting my low back, protecting my hamstrings, my knees. So we do movements with that in mind. A lot of these movements are done with that in mind. Because I'm at a point, I think my hamstrings themselves might be so strong on these movements, I don't know that I'm getting much out of them, working them anymore. Maybe, maybe not. But what it will do is prevent injuries. Again, if I can avoid pulling hamstrings by doing these, then it's worth it. It's worth it. And other movements will build my deadlift. All my pulling, reverse hypers, they all help. Reverse hypers definitely help. And then the good mornings will help. But I don't know, I always felt like the reverse hypers when I got strongest at them, there's carryover because it seems like they work my glutes better than almost anything else I've done. They're just such a glute builder as far as hip hinging ability for me. And therefore, if I get super strong at them again, I think we'll see deadlift carryover because really what are the two primary movers on the deadlift? Everything else is a stabilizer. It's your glutes and your hamstrings. And then quads to a lesser extent. But they're only the first part of the movement. They help you break it off the floor. But they're rarely a limiting factor because we all train our quads. All right, reverse hypers, because I realized the 275 I've been doing that I can do sets of 20 on it fresh, which I did the other day. Like seriously, 3 sets of 20. I threw another 45 on there. Right, we took it up another 45 pounds. Then the sets of 10 got challenging, but I still had some in reserve. So we're going to need to get stronger and stronger at these. All right, we got to keep getting stronger because this puts me up at something like, I don't know, 315, I think. I'm doing the math off the top of my head. Or is it more? I think it's 320. It could be 320. Now I'm going to have to do the math in my head. Yeah, 320 pounds. All right. It's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. So we did that for 5 sets of 10, and I think I picked up an extra rep in there at the end somewhere. So these need to get stronger. I'm going to push these reverse hypers up because I feel like they're going to have carryover to my deadlift. Particularly, I think a lot of where I'm weakest, I tend to slow down just below the knee, right at the knee. All right, I think that's going to give me that extra glute drive to push through there. right, to really lock it harder and faster right through that point. Usually once I get it past there, I'm good. I can lock it. But that's where it slows. And hopefully this will help with that, right? That and the other glute work with the glute ham raises. And then again, I'm doing so much back work right now that I don't think that that's going to be a limit. The volume is there for that. So 5 by 10 with a 45-pound increase over what I had previously done. And I'm keeping them pretty strict. Do you guys notice this is barely controlled? I'm keeping them strict. You know, not a lot of swing forward. So, again, it works. And then I finished off with a set of very high rep band curls, right? Again, just to work on those tendons. Plus, I don't have any real supine work in there for my biceps, so it's probably not going to hurt. Even though all the pull-ups and rows are helping, it's probably will help with a little bit of development, getting a pump in there. But mainly I'm looking at that tendon health. I want to build those tendons up to, again, reduce the risk of injury. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.